أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداء إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. I bear witness that without Allah there is no God. I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is the last, the final messenger of Allah, after whom no prophet, old or new, will come. And I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. The verse I have recited from the Quran is taken from chapter 2. And I translate it as follows. When my servants ask you about me, I draw near. I respond to the fervent contemplation of the one calling as he or she calls on me. So let them seek solutions from me and trust me for correct guidance. It is sometimes worthwhile to consider and even ask this question. If God, if Allah, cannot help us in our present life by the acceptance of our prayers, do you believe that He will help us in the life after death? To make effective use of prayer, it is essential to know and to understand the nature and the function of praying to Allah. No person in today's age has taught us so much about Allah and how He responds to our prayers than Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam, the Mujaddid of the 14th century, the promised Messiah. We learn from the Quran that Allah is not a mere spectator of events. Allah is not a mere helpless observer of the worlds with its many laws. Allah is a listening and a helping God, helping us externally as well as internally. God has as much control over the material world and its laws as He has over the soul of the human being and its destiny. But how we behave determines our errors or our good qualities. It is behavior that reflects our goodness or badness. But our behavior is energized by our mental power. And the strengthening of our mind requires the management and the managing of our thoughts and the regulating and regulation of our emotions and our egos before we even act upon them. And so the Prophet Muhammad emphasized that our actions and behavior are determined by our ideas and our thinking. But sometimes our thinking can be irrational. Our thinking can be unrealistic or even inaccurate. And this leads us to misbehave. To prevent this, we need the help of Allah through praying. Allah's response to our calling upon Him is to ensure that we are given realistic, accurate, and rational guidance and the ability and motivation to act upon the guidance that He provides. Allah in the Quran explains His existence as a collection of non-physical attributes. All of His attributes are called in Arabic Subhan. And Subhan means free from any imperfections. In other words, Allah possesses all the resources to help us along any path that we choose to follow. We are assured that as long as we follow the guidance He gives us on that path, we will achieve a successful outcome. We notice that we will find some solution or remedy to an issue by means of thinking or by some other means of searching, whether it is through AI, Google, the internet. We search for solutions, we think about them. And while thinking and contemplating, we actually plunge ourselves in deep thought. And this amounts, in fact, to asking help from that high power from whom nothing is hidden. That is Allah. Our methods and our efforts, therefore, and whatever remedy we discover is connected with asking and praying. So the mental and the process of mental exertion, of contemplation, of thinking and concentration is called prayer. Let us consider an example. Whenever we choose to do something or to find a remedy or solution to a problem, we first give it some serious thought and we search for a solution. But if we don't have the ability for the search or we are not perfect in it, we appoint someone else. If I'm sick, for example, I don't know about diseases, so I ask a doctor to investigate and find out what I'm suffering from. If I have a legal problem, I consult a lawyer. Or a person may consult an elder who has more experience in life, or a teacher who has more knowledge of a particular subject, who has experience also in teaching and explaining. So we utilize these persons outside of us to do the thinking and to provide ways and methods that we can choose and use to bring about a solution or a cure if it is in the case of a disease. Now that person outlines some process within the range of nature's laws that is beneficial to us. In a similar way, when we are unable to find our way, we turn to Allah, not only to show us solutions, but also to give us the resources we need and the guidance to use those resources efficiently and effectively. So that the sole key to all the resources of knowledge is prayer. For it is through prayer that we obtain knowledge from God. We have seen also the experiences of righteous persons who are constantly and consistently in prayer, and they acquire spiritual knowledge when their souls stretch their hands of petition towards the source of all knowledge, towards Allah. But the prayers of those who are still in ignorance of God, ignorance of the method and the ways in which prayer is to be utilized, they seek a shortcut or they seek a miracle without effort on their part. They feel that when you pray, some miracle will occur and God will produce a miracle to solve your problem. This is not what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught us. He has taught us that prayer requires effort on our part as well. And that is why when we raise our hands in dua, in prayer, it is not only that we are opening our hands, receiving knowledge from God and guidance from God, but we are indicating to Allah that, oh Allah, I am prepared to put my hands also in achieving what I want to achieve. And also, when we pass our hands over our face, it is indicating that I am including my mind as well, my brains as well. Not only my effort, but my brains, my thinking in solving the problem. And that's why the Quran teaches us that Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. we not only service Allah, we not only worship Him and glorify Him, but we enlist His cooperation. We want Allah to cooperate with us because we are doing our part and He is doing His part. We do our best and then we leave the rest to Allah. So God communicates knowledge to the mind of the sincere searcher. That's what the Quran tells us. Continue praying to me. I will accept your prayers in due course, He says. Prayer is to be distinguished from worship. Salah is real contact with the living God. It is through Salah that we become in contact with our Creator. And the Quran uses certain terms to explain the process of praying and its effect on our personality, on the human personality. The term, for example, ibadat. Ibadat is worshipful behavior, which includes salah and dua. Ibadat literally means to crush stone into powder. We know that it's difficult to fit a stone in a container. It might be too small, and even if it is larger, there's a lot of wasted space. But when that stone is crushed into a powder, it can fit into any container. And the effect of ibadat on our personality is such that when we crush our egos and humble ourselves to Allah as we do in prayer, we obtain the strength to face any situation, any challenges that comes our way. Salah is in fact a ritual prayer that cleans and clears the mind. Whenever we want to enhance an object, we first clean it. If you want to paint a wall, you would clean it and then apply the paint. If you want to paint any object, you will clean it first and then you will apply the paint. In a like manner, in order to beautify and enhance our personality and our character, we clean and clear our mind and thoughts from every object, everything, purifying our minds to color it with the attributes of Allah. As the Quran itself tells us, Sibghat Allah, imbue yourselves, color yourselves with the attributes of Allah. But before we can bring the attributes of Allah into our lives, we have to clean our thoughts and our minds. We have to purify them. And the Quran points out to us that prayer, salah, is indeed a means of removing all forms of impurity from our minds, when we use it properly, of course. The other terminology that is used is dua. And this is to call upon Allah using words and efforts, words as well as efforts. The promised Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Muhammad, teaches us that human nature is such that whenever a thing is desired, the heart will incline towards it. You like something, your mind and your heart will have a desire for it. In a like manner, when the human being recognizes Allah and desires His beauty and blessings, then his or her heart automatically rushes towards God, inducing tremendous amount of joy. Just as when we receive that which we love, that which we like, it gives us a tremendous amount of joy. The greatest joy that we can get in life is when we rush towards our Creator and enjoy the beautiful attributes that He has and the blessings that He bestows upon us. So in real prayer, the human being sees Allah. The true joy of life is when the longing and fondness for the things that provide happiness are more intensely felt in prayer. It is not that we should deny ourselves the things of this world. They give us happiness. They have been created by Allah for that purpose. But we get joy and enjoyment and happiness through the things that God has created. How much more happiness can we have? Can we achieve? Can we attain? When we go to the source of the entity, the being that provided, that possesses all beautiful attributes, when we go to Him, how much more joy and happiness we will experience. A human being suffers great sorrow whenever joy and happiness is from all worldly pleasures are taken away. We enjoy a nice house. If it is burnt down, if it is destroyed by tornado, hurricane, tsunami, whatever, we go in sadness. We are sad when that which gives us pleasure is taken away from us. It may be a near dear one who passes away. And similarly, if we have pleasure in visiting, in communicating, in contact with Allah, Allah is never taken away from us. The person who finds all happiness and fondness in Allah, there will be no sadness and grief. For when we leave this world, even, we return to Allah. So, dua is really a special bond between Allah and us when we freely express our feelings to Him. When we cry out our heart's troubles and ask Him to wipe out our shortcomings. And when we request from Him in plain words whatever we need, even the material things of this life that would give us joy and happiness, life, health, the welfare of our friends and relatives, our children, our family, our community, our society. So in dua, we pour out our heart in an interpersonal relationship, and dua does not require specific words. We can beg Allah at any time, day or night, as there is no special time allotted for the purpose of dua. So never believe that Allah is restricted by His own laws, that Allah is limited, that Allah cannot help and cannot assist us. Actually, He uses His powers through these laws that He has created, and He applies these laws to our benefit. That is why it is so essential and important to keep up prayer and to keep up that communication with our Creator, Allah. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim. ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم. اللهم اخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أعلى أكبر.